Well, hello everyone. Welcome again to our channel called The Great Awakening Generator. I am Rose McNair and I am in Auckland, New Zealand. And today I have a wonderful guest for you. But before that, I want to say I hope you are all doing really well. I know that it is challenging times, and sometimes to do well is a luxury, but I'm wishing you lots of wellness and positive energy. Yes. All right. So Jane Scarratt, my beloved friend and colleague from Australia. Hello, Jane.
Hi, Rose. Hello, everybody.
So good to have you join us on the channel today. And so, Jane, how's your day going?
Well, people say to me, "How are you, Jane?" And I say, "I'm upright, I'm breathing, and I'm here."
Love
So
it.
as long as I'm staying on the right side of the grass, every day is fabulous.
Wonderful. I love it. I love it. It's so Australian, but it's so Jane at the same time, right? It's more Jane. Jane, today I thought I'd have you on the channel to talk about perhaps some specific things like current energies, and we want to talk a little bit about our work with the Arcturians, right? However, before we get to all of that, please tell us about you. And I know kinesiology is part of what you offer in terms of the work you've done on the planet, but tell me more because you're the best person to describe what you do. So please tell me.
Thank you, Rose. Yes, a great pleasure. I'm what's called a spiritual kinesiologist.
Okay.
So I use muscle testing and knowledge that I've gleaned since 1997 when the Colonel, my husband, turned his toes up and passed over to the other side. So then after he'd passed over, I didn't have to focus on him and I was able to focus on Jane. Hello. So I studied kinesiology. I did all the courses. I have clients who come to see me who have issues with relationships or with work or with people or even emotionally. And we work out who they are from their birthday. We work out what their hang ups and strengths are. Sometimes that's hard, but we get there. Then they're able to understand a lot more about why they're a perfectionist or why they get angry so easily or why everything about life is a drama. And as soon as they understand that and they know that their own emotions are influencing the outcomes of their life, suddenly they are more in control of who they are and how they deal with everything that's occurring. I'm also, that sort of work is like soul psychology as well. So it's extraordinarily interesting, and I just love the work and being of service to people. It's beautiful.
Great, great. So what else about Jane? I know that's the work. What do you enjoy doing? What about, the other things of life?
Well, I enjoy my hands in the dirt. I thoroughly enjoy walking on the wet dew in the morning. That grounds me more than anything.
Yes.
But I love mainly working with the plants. My plants are beautiful, and the pot plants and the plants in the garden. When you walk around, you can feel them coming towards you.
Wow.
Um, and I tell them they're beautiful, and I move ones around that don't look as if they're very happy, but they talk. They communicate with you. So that's a great passion of mine. I also love research, but my main task is to keep on top of my own reactions to everything and being as much of a service energy as I can.
That's wonderful. Wow. I love what you say about the plants because people have been talking about this, that, you know, the plants are just so phenomenal, talking to the plants and having a relationship with the plants. And so does that make you an elemental?
Look, I don't think about myself in any way. I just feel all of us, we just need to be what we are. And I've got no special talent, but I do find that if you just love, you everything that happens to you is wonderful.
Absolutely.
I love the plants because they respond to your love. But I'm also putting a lot of copper coiled around a bamboo shoot and putting that in the soil now. That was something I learned. And it's having a powerful effect upon the growth of the plants.
Okay,
and
so
not
copper
only that,
is,
around the vegetables, the
sorry.
grubs and the snails stay away. It's
Okay, so
wonderful. I
that's a
love
good,
it. Mm,
that's a good
mm.
tip. So I was just about to say, I was going to ask you, so what benefit? And just as I was saying, so what was the benefit you told me? So that's really good. So, wow, Jane.
Yes, and I live with my two sisters.
Okay.
We've all, one sister's always lived with the Colonel and I, but the other sister is a naturopath and kinesiologist. She was living in Sydney, and then she found that she was getting just a little bit older. Dare I say that?
As you do.
And so she came to live with us too. So the three of us are like three little pigs in mud.
Oh, I love it. It's interesting. It's nice. You must love your family to be able to live with them even after you've separated and gone your own way and come back, right? Must be something to have a relationship.
Well, we've all done the work on ourselves.
Aha.
So
Aha.
despite the fact that we still have sibling verbal agreements about who our ancestors are and who our mother and father was,
Right.
but yeah, but we get along really well because we allow each person to be who they are, and that's the best way to get on with your family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. I have four sisters, and I think that to us, because of the age that we are still a work in progress in terms of that. And I say that with a lot of love. I don't say it with any kind of cynicism, but
Oh
I do
no.
believe. Jane, you're talking about you're talking about the current. You were talking about taking care of oneself, because I think that's a real theme for our conversation today. What would you say to people in the current climate about self-care and self-talk? I mean, we there's a lot going on, right? So what is your take on it?
Well, I went through a bit of a tough time because I'm a believer in good. I never thought there'd be what one would commonly call evil. So I broke down a little, and I've gradually got myself back up again. But I realise now we're in the Truman Show. I don't know if anybody saw that movie. I only saw it once, and it's only just recently that I'm realising that a lot of what's happening has to happen for us as as beings, as human beings, to get away from this third dimensional greed that we seem to be in,
Yeah.
and this lack of consideration for others. So I think it's important that we all look at that and look at what's happening around us and say, I'm playing a part in a movie. And if I play the part well, I'll probably get another job in the next movie. So it pays you
Yeah.
to do a good act. Well, I know that sounds a bit weird, but that's how I'm looking at it and in myself. So I just know that what we have to do is understand our part. Now, our part could be that we're leading. Another part could be that sorry, I'm fumbling a bit. I've got so many things going through my head.
It's all right.
But if we could all just come back into our heart, stop judging what other people are doing, focus on your own back garden. And I don't mean your plant garden, I mean your own life. Stop worrying. No, nobody worries. Stop focusing on what other people are doing. Just 100% be yourself. Don't be afraid to be eccentric. The more eccentric you are, the more people will leave you alone. I promise you, it works. I dyed my hair red.
I love it. I love it.
They run a mile. So please, just know who you are. And you're an amazing, wonderful spirit energy having an earth experience. And don't be frightened or ashamed of an emotion. The day I admitted to myself that I really didn't like people was the greatest part of my journey, because then I understood that a lot of what was going on was my own issue. It was nothing to do with people. And now I just love people. And I may go inside and tear paper because I'm cranky, but I still love that anger.
Yes.
Don't think anger's not good. Anger's fabulous. I've done more in half an hour of anger than I have in a whole 24 hours of love.
Yeah.
So don't be eccentric, be different.
Yeah. So what? Sorry, Jane, I keep doing that.
No, I'm finished.
So because I just wanted to reflect on something you were saying now. So I agree with you that the time now is about self, and saying, how do I protect that energy that is mine? Because we've been through a lot. We've been through a lot, not just in the last 3 years. The last 3 years was significantly intense. I mean significantly intense. But what I'm coming to realize as well, that whilst it's been heartbreaking, whilst it's been astounding, whilst it's been shocking, whilst it's been, there's been all those what the heck is going on moments, it's actually meant to happen. These things that have happened are meant to happen. And for those of us that are realizing that, or are more, for want of a better word, awakened to the things around us, and we need to start being mindful of the response we have, or the reaction we have to it. Because what do you do in this time? You need to protect yourself and your response to it. Don't get caught up in it. What is your focus? Because if you are a light worker, if you are an empath, if you are a starseed, a supernova, all those things that's been going around in the esoteric community, that we say we are from other galaxies, we've come here and we are awakening, and we're here to help in the awakening of humanity, the supporting of the transformation of the planet, all of those things, then now is the time, I feel, that we start to say we need to become not thick-skinned, but we need to be saying, when something shocking is happening here, okay, that's meant to happen because it's part of the process. And that the more we start to accept that that's happening, it's part of the process, the more the light rises and shines, the more the darkness starts to show itself, because that's what light will do. And so therefore, just be secure in yourself, be secure in what you're doing, be satisfied with where it is at, and live your best life despite that, right? So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
so tell us, Jane, what are you...
Sorry. Go on, Rose. Sorry.
I beg your pardon.
I know, I interrupted you. I apologize.
Say what you wanted to say, because I'm sure you're giving me a response to that, but if it was about my question was, so tell us what you think are the tools for us to do this, but tell me what you wanted to in the first place.
Well, I've worked with the Arcturians a lot. And one of the things that I know works for me is every morning before, and I put a little sign on my lampshade. I pinned it, stuck it, whatever it was in those days. And I do what's called a transverse flow. And that puts all of your energy field into balance. So it takes 20 seconds before you get out of bed. Hand across the belly button, hand across the forehead, breathe. Count to 10, change hands. Good morning, God. I'm going to do the best I can be of you today. And I'll get out of bed. Okay? Now, the one thing that the Arcturians have always said is be aware of your aura, your cosmic egg. And just mentally feel your aura and tidy it up. Make it a compact capsule around you, under your feet, over your head, all around you. Now, what I see sometimes as a little spike, well, that's my anger. And I think, oh my God, there was a bit of a storm in Indonesia. Now, I caused that with my anger.
Yeah.
Because we are, all of us, each of us is the earth. And how you are affects everything. If you can just be aware of that, you can laugh when you've had your SPAC attack, but then you can heal that little bit in your aura. So I usually visualize hands patting down my aura and smoothing it with a bit of sandpaper. Shining it with some polish. And then I know I'm going to be protected all day. Now, I know they're silly little things and you're not going to remember every day. But that transverse flow every morning has you balanced, focused, and you've also committed yourself to God. I do think it's really an important part of who you are. I used to have ladies, businesswomen, who would ring me before they went into a meeting. And they would say, Jane, could you just, I've got to go into a meeting. And we would just clear whatever the fear was or the anger or whatever. And they would go in strong and focused. Now, the one thing I think women in particular should do is when you get up in the morning, look in the mirror, put your polyfiller on, your makeup. There's nothing wrong with a bit of makeup, girls.
Yes.
Look in the mirror and say, good morning, God. Let's go out and create some havoc. So, just a couple of little things, your egg and your balance of your energy field. And hey, but be aware your emotions create what's happening on the planet. That's the best thing. It's not easy to maintain your equanimity, but we can all try.
Very good. Very, very well said. Jane, I was going to say, it's a hard pill to swallow, so to speak of, when we hear that, our emotions, for example, contribute to the happenings on the planet. Because quite often we think of ourselves as separate rather than one, but whatever's happening, it's about the chain reaction. It's about the collective, isn't it? And therefore, it's something that if I know sometimes I struggle with that knowledge. And so I know that I'm having to work on it. And today you've reminded me that, because I earlier I was driving to another side of Auckland and I was so annoyed. I was so constantly saying things that I never usually do. And I thought, what was all that about, Rose? Because I was in a hurry, yes, because I was running late, as I do. and I do it often. But there was no fault of anyone else's but mine, because I should have left home earlier. But I was like finding fault with everything on the road, and I don't have road rage. And there I was saying things, but to myself in the car, and I was like, where does that come from? And it's really good. Thank you for the reminder of this thing of what you're putting out there is contributing to the collective. So it's important to be in a wonderful, balanced mind space. And I guess every day, and we need to do the work for it. And when we say do the work, it's not difficult, is it? It's saying I'm taking 5 minutes or 1 minute or 20 seconds, like you were talking about, to balance myself before I actually take that step completely out of bed, completely out of my bedroom to start my day. That's what we're saying here, aren't we?
Exactly.
Yes.
Spot on, girl. Yeah.
So I think I want to talk about the Arcturians now, because I'm conscious about time. And you mentioned the Arcturians. So this is where we connected, because I joined a group that was working with the Arcturians, and you were a coordinator for the Australia branch of that group. We're not really talking too much about the group. We're not talking about the group really, but we were talking about our experience today of the Arcturians. So Jane, tell us, what do you know about them Arcturians? Because I know my experience was positive, but you tell me a little bit of how you came upon them and your experience with them.
I've always found I didn't even know about Arcturians. I didn't even register. And I read Connecting with the Arcturians, which was quite a wonderful book. A friend of mine that I was at school with, that I ran into back in 1998, she threw it at me and said, here, this probably will resonate with you. And so I read the book and joined the group. So I started to understand about Arcturians, and I started to bring them into my thinking. And the thing that I found with the Arcturians was I didn't feel anything. I didn't see anything. I'm too much of a control freak to allow that. Or I've got two ones. They're like two horns up here at my birthday. So what I found was that after a little while, when I wanted or needed to find something, suddenly I had it. And I thought, where did that come from? I don't even remember searching for that. I remember finding something from Chief White Eagle in 2004. Nobody else had ever seen it. And yet there it was. And from that, we were able to create a symbol and a wonderful meditation. Now, what I learned over the years with the Arcturians was that I started to understand they were part of the fabric of my life and my thinking. So I learned very easily to trust. I would say what I wanted, and bang, it was there. Now, there was nobody in particular. We worked with Tamar, Giuliano, Helio R, whoever. They really don't want you naming them. I remember having a session with a girl, and she dealt with light energies. They were like 8th or 9th dimension. And I said to them one day in a session, what is your name? And they said, we have no name. They were an energy. And I look on the Arcturians the same way. So I know that energy is always around me. And I call on them when I'm working with a client. I say, I'm going to need some help here. So, out of the pub boys and out of the hairdresser girls, and let's work with this beautiful energy that's come to us for help. Now, I rely on them. I bring them into everything I do, and I have great faith in them.
Okay.
So no matter what I do, and I can question their ancestry, And I know I genuinely do hear a bit of laughter in the ethers.
Now, I'm going to take us one step back. Now, this is for the benefit of anybody who's listening or watching the channel and is wondering, what's Arcturian? What are they talking about? So, do you want to tell us what the Arcturians are or who they are, Jane?
Yes, they're fifth dimensional beings. They are they're in the Boots constellation. There is a big planet, Arcturus. They are very benevolent. Edgar Casey, he swore by the Arcturians. What was his name? That weird fellow. Got one of these books over there. Can't remember now. Sorry.
It's okay. I love it. It's so natural. It's so lovely. Just keep going, Jane.
And he thought they were just wonderful. Is it Joshua Stone or something like that? Dr. Joshua Stone. Anyway, he talked about them all the time. And every one of his books, he would talk about the Arcturians. But, you know, they just never registered. They're fifth dimensional. They just purely work with the planet. They work with everybody in the whole universe. Fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, 10th, 12th dimensional energies. They have done a lot of, created a lot of things for us on Earth, because one of the reasons we're getting all the help is because when Earth rises and takes humanity with her into a higher dimension, the whole galaxy will rise in vibration.
Yes.
It's not just Gaia, and it's not just us. It's all of it out there.
Yes. Yes.
And that we have a responsibility. We stood in a queue and we said, we want to go down and be part of this, because this is an opportunity for us to learn and expand as well.
Yes.
Now, the Arcturians are very benevolent. They would never hurt anybody. Some of them have got a great sense of humour. And that's right. A bit hard to find in spirit. They're so damn serious. Yes. You know, a friend of mine insists every day for 5 minutes she walks around the house laughing.
That's great.
And she said, you'll be surprised at what that does for her. Yeah. No, I don't know if you know anything else about the Arcturians, Rose, but I think I've completed my knowledge, or how I can explain them.
Yeah. So for me, I didn't have anything to do with the Arcturians until I think, what was it, 2020. And that was because I found this meditation notice in the local newspaper, and I went along to it, and then was my first experience, because I've got Pleiadian heritage, and I always look at Matariki or you know, the Pleiades. The other name for Matariki is the Pleiades, and so I have, you know, that kind of energy, and I have a great affiliation to them. I feel them around me, etc. But when I came across the Arcturians, my first experience with them, the day that I went to the meditation, was as I walked into the room, I felt this cushioning of all this energy around me. And they were, you know, the lady I went to had these pictures up of them on the walls. And when you looked at them, they were looking back. They were watching you. They were following you with their eyes around the room. And I thought, oh my gosh. But I tell you, I so love the Arcturians, because it's like you say, everything just is. You don't have to try hard. You just have to be. You just be. You don't even have to try being, you know, you just be. And they are there. The meditations were great. They were true to whatever they were saying. They love us so much, and I know that because I have felt the energy of that great love. And I love what we were doing at the time that I joined this group, and we were doing meditations, guided meditations that were channeled from the Arcturians. They were just so amazing, because they were taking us in the galaxy to heights we never thought possible. You could only dream about that. Hey, you know what? I could go up there into the starship, for example, or I could go up there and I could send positive energy. I could be with my fifth dimensional self, and I could create things with my fifth dimensional self that I could carry on living when I got here. But it was not difficult. It was easy. It was caring. It was loving. And, you know, I'm just finding what I conclude is that they have always been in my space. I just did not realize that. And when I found them, they were very prominent because we were doing this channeled meditations. And now they're there, but they're not forcing me to have conversations. They're just looking after me. So this is my experience of them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, I know they're all there.
Yes. So Jane, we have just about 5 minutes to go before we conclude our time together today. We will come back, and I want to say you are very welcome to come back and have a chat with me, because I would love it. You have got so much to share. So I'm going to leave it open for you to say anything more you need to say to our audience before we, you know, we give it a wrap.
Look, you're just magic. All right, if all of us could look, when you're dealing with somebody, understand that you're dealing with an aspect of the Creator. Your conversation and the way you speak will change. I know it's difficult sometimes when you look at somebody and you really don't like them to visualize that they are part of the Creator. But how would you talk to him, her? I mean, let's just say it's him. Let's just leave it at Creator. If you're looking at somebody and you say, I'm talking to a Creator here, I'm talking to even God here, in an aspect of God, that he needed that energy in that shape, in that form, your whole attitude to humanity and what's happening will change. So relax with people. We're not all going to be liked. Nobody 100% can be liked. I mean, I have to tell you, you experience all types. So just be a bit more flexible and no judgment. You know, just because somebody's a little bit different, revel in it rather than think, oh, they're the same cut as me, or they should be the same as I am. No, they shouldn't. Nobody should. But you're all magic, and just be aware of that. Feel the sizzle when you look in the mirror and look in your eyes and say hello. I mean, I look in the mirror now and I don't even know who she is, because I still remember this lovely young creature.
You're so lovely.
And
You're
I
so
look
lovely.
in and I think, now, who are you?
You're so lovely. That's what I have to say.
So do the same, but
Yeah.
start laughing, will you? The one thing nobody who is evil can stand is people laughing, putting their head back and loving and laughing. Okay? So really, that's all I ever say to my students and my people who have the courage to come and see me. So please, you're a spiritual being having a human experience. You know how sometimes you might think, I'd like to go to Italy and experience being an Italian. Well, there you were on the 5th, 8th, 10th dimension, and you said, no, I think I'll go down and I'll help Earth this time, and I'll be a 3rd dimensional. Same experience, but Earth, the 3rd dimension's emotion. So love it. Love your emotions, everybody. Yeah, that's all.
Jane, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. And to our audience, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. And Jane is definitely going to get another invitation or more invitations back on the channel. And also remember, at the moment, our creation and co-creation abilities are very strong because of where we're at in the on the journey. So when you're creating, like we were saying earlier, Jane, before we got on to recording this, our creating abilities are so strong at the moment and so quick. So you can manifest your creation very quick. So just remember that when you are thinking about things, because your thoughts create things. So, you know, that's definitely a topic we will have to have more conversation about, Jane. Yes. So
Good.
thank you
I
so
love
much
it.
again.
Yes. No, thank you for inviting me, and have a lovely afternoon, everybody. Or well, evening for you, afternoon for me. Okay.
Great. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Cheers,
And
Rose.
you're very welcome, Jane. Please stay on the line. I will catch up with you once we've moved over to the other platform. And to everyone, I want to say thank you again. And as always, keep reaching for the stars. You're amazing. Goodbye.
Mm.